She said, if you don't start asking and expecting to be paid, you're making it harder for the rest of us creators who are expecting and wanting to get paid.
Welcome back to the RV Queens podcast, where we dive into the incredible world of women living life and making money on the road. We're joined today by the fabulous Kathy with the rainbow glasses from Chaos on the Road. Kathy's here to share her full-time RV journey and how she's mastered the art of creating content on the road, all while balancing work, family, and life in a moving home. In this episode, Kathy talks about how her family got into full-time travel life and the unexpected twists that have come, like her husband losing his job right before their big launch. Oof. But, spoiler alert, that didn't stop them. From work camping to building her own successful VA business, Kathy shares the unique ways they've made it work financially while living on the road. Plus, she dives into her passion for content creation, explaining how she uses trending audio, engages with her audience, and lands paid gigs, all while staying true to herself. So grab your coffee and let's roll. Kathy with the rainbow glasses, welcome to the RV Queens podcast. Where in the world are you today?
Colorado. We're in Ouray, Colorado. We've actually been here since mid-May, and we are about to close up our time here mid-October. We came here to work camp for the second summer in a row. So we've all been working our literal heinies off all summer long. And just a few weeks left.
Are you ready for the time to be done? Or are you like kind of emotional that it's almost over?
It's both. It's both. So Ouray is super special. It just is. We've only been on the road for a couple of years, and cumulatively, we will have spent 9 months here in Ouray out of that 2 years. It was never really our plan to ever be anywhere that long for any, at any one point, but financially necessary for my husband to work. So, but what happened was last year when we came out here for the first time, we fell in love. And so last year was hard enough to say goodbye. And then we didn't think we were going to be back. And now here we are. And so this is like a second goodbye. And it's extra special because it is given even our boys an opportunity to work, which is really rare. Our kids are only 12 and 14, well, the ones that travel with us. So they've gotten to work for 2 summers in a row. They really don't want to leave. You establish relationships here with people, especially when you're working, and it's going to be hard. At the same time, I have stuff I want to see. Like I have places I need to go. Like I said, we didn't plan on being stationary for this long ever when we set out on the road. And so I am ready. I'm nervous, moving fast is a lot, but we've been there. It's kind of like riding a bike.
We've been moving so fast this summer that the thought of being stationary for 3 months sounds like heaven. But I know the other side of it too. It's like you get the itch and you're like, I gotta get out of here, man. I can't keep going to the same Walmart over and over. I need something fresh.
That lady recognizes me when I come in.
Yeah, I know. I'm starting to recognize people's faces. We've been here way too long.
It's too long. Yeah, it's too long. If you know where you're going without GPS, I feel like that's like the sign. You've gotten a little too comfortable. It's time to move on. So true. So
yes.
Yeah.
Yep,
yeah. A lot of feelings happening.
Well, I do want to go back to before you guys were full-time RVers, and you said you've only been on the road 2 years. What led up to you guys making that big life change? We
were tent campers with our boys for a few years. And one of the things that we would always do when we would tent camp is we would make sure and book RV sites, because I could only give up so much of the creature comforts. So we'd book an RV site so that we'd have water and electric. That meant that we were always surrounded by what my boys would call at the time camp vans. Any RV that they saw, they just called them camp vans. And so for the longest time, they would ask us, like, when are we going to go on a trip in a camp van? So it was 2019, and my husband and I decided we were going to surprise the boys. And so we rented a Class C. It's a 32-foot mini Winnie, and we parked it down the block. And one of my daughters came over the night before. She helped me stock that thing, and get everything ready for our road trip. And then the morning of, we pulled it into the drive and we woke up the boys and we were like, surprise, we're going on this trip. We took them to Yosemite and Mount Rushmore and Grand Tetons and did that whole kind of, trip, right? It was a 10-day whirlwind. That was our first taste that we got of what it was like to travel in an RV. But it wouldn't be for a couple of more years before I realized that I wanted something more out of life. We were living very typical suburban life. Our kids were going to jujitsu 5 nights a week. And, there was just a lot going on. Just, you name it, it's very typical life. But also our kids had always been homeschooled. And I had started my virtual assistant business. So I was working from home. At that time, my husband had already been working from home for 2 years. So we were on a vacation. We were on a quick not honeymoon, but an anniversary getaway. It was actually a trip that almost didn't happen because at the time there was a blizzard in Oklahoma. We had already lost a day of that trip, but we flew down to Fort Lauderdale and we're sitting on the beach. And it gives me goosebumps to this day. I looked at my husband and I said, why are we doing what we're doing in Oklahoma when we could be doing it anywhere? Like, I remember looking around and just thinking, there's got to be RV parks around here, like there's got to be places that we can even rent, even if it's not an RV. And so it wasn't like a full-time RV travel dream that took, that started in that moment, but it definitely was a moment of like, this is dumb. We're in Oklahoma. We have so much freedom to do this anywhere. And we're in Oklahoma. No. So within a year, the house was sold. We had moved into a rental. We took a year to, downsize, find the rig, find the truck, sell the car, all the things. And then there we were. So it was more kind of a why not, there wasn't something that really sparked it necessarily as to like, this is why we should do this, but it was more of a like, why not?
Yeah, that was similar to, we were in Nebraska, so another kind of Midwest state.
Yeah.
And my husband and I both worked from home. Our kids were young, but homeschool. It was like COVID area was so weird with young kids. So we ended up just homeschooling anyway. And it was the same feeling of like, why are we here? Like, we hate our lives January through April.
Oh,
and
don't get me started on seasons
here. Yes.
I had
July and August
for my entire life. Yeah, no. Yeah, exactly.
I love it.
And I want to chase the seasons that I love, so you will not catch me in a cold place for longer than like a week. You just won't. Yeah. Like I love like when sweater weather is coming on, and then when it gets about 5 degrees colder, I'm like, deuces. I gotta go.
Did that say it's gonna be 50? I think it's time to leave.
When sweatshirt turns into sweater, it's a different vibe.
Let's switch gears real quick and talk about making money while you travel. You talked about having a VA business, and at the beginning, you talked about work camping in Ouray, Colorado. Tell us all the different types of ways that you've made money over the past couple of years on the road.
Yeah, there have been a lot of them. And I will tell you, it wasn't our plan. The way that things have played out, it really wasn't exactly according to our vision. But to back up just a little bit, so we had bought the rig. We had sold the cars. We had our tow vehicle. We had been stationary for a couple of months, and we're taking some like practice trips, right, to get ready for our launch. And 3 weeks before our launch, my husband lost his job. So remember, he had been, remotely employed for a couple of years, and that was just not something that we were anticipating. So luckily, I did have my virtual assistant business in place. It was just, I had been a stay-at-home mom for a very long time. Before that, I had run a home daycare business, and I had just felt this need to like do something for myself, like be in charge of something, but not work necessarily for someone. We kind of role reverse there for a little while and almost kind of have ever since, where I've become the primary earner with my virtual assistant business. And then we've been filling in with these work camping opportunities for my husband kind of as they come along. We've done, we're here at a campground in Ouray. So he does all kinds of things around the campground, from Jeep rentals to hotel check-ins to running the store and stocking, and just kind of a lot of everything. I'm working this summer as a server in the restaurant that's on site. First time I've ever worked in food service in my entire life. It is wild. It is wild. But also my husband's done things as far as work camping goes. We've gone up to North Dakota. We've done sugar beet harvest for a month. That was crazy and a really great first experience. He has also picked up like temporary jobs through escapees, like doing little seasonal tax jobs remotely. And then, so that's kind of the work camping gist of it. And then of course my VA business. And then now I make money from content creation, thanks to the RV Queens.
Yeah. Thanks for the shout out. Well, I was gonna go into the next question here was like, when you started in RV Queen circles, I think you were just kind of getting started with content creation. And, you know, a lot of RVers are attracted to the idea of content creation because you're traveling to new places and seeing cool things. And it seems like, you know what, before you get into it, it just seems like, yeah, of course, this is a natural fit. I'm just going to like post travel content and magically make some money from it. Like, ta-da! Money's raining down on me because I posted inspirational content. Okay, it's not that easy. Right? I know. It is not that easy at all.
Not what
and
it's like.
I've kind of just like been an observer as you've just grown over the past like several months that I've known you. You've been a really quick learner on how to make money from your content. And I have a few questions for you on this topic, but to start, like, how did you learn all of this? Did you take a course, like pay a mentor? What has been your path so far?
I have purchased a couple of resources that I guess you could call small courses. And I'm talking like less than $100 for the most part. I think that literally the majority of what I have learned since I decided it was time to start getting paid, since my RV friends told me, Kathy, it's time to start getting paid. It really has come from the community and resources that they've shared and being in a space with other women who are trying to do the same thing and being able to bounce ideas off of people and ask questions of people and ask about resources. And it really has, I think, for the most part, come from the community.
Awesome. I did not plant that question. I hope this doesn't sound like a plant to the listeners. I'm like, honestly, thank you for saying that. I didn't know that. So that is
you didn't know that? Oh my gosh.
No,
yeah.
I didn't know that.
I just want to tell you this one moment because it's super pointing it to me. I'll never forget it. In my very first RV Queens group, Leah from Llama Llama Adventure, you guys all know her, and love her. We all know and love her. But she was in my very first group. And up to the point where I joined RV Queens, I had actually only been working for trade. I didn't really know how to get past that point. I knew that I wanted to, but I didn't really know everything that was entailed. And I just thought, oh, I'm just building my portfolio. That's what we all say. I'm just going to do it for a little bit and build my portfolio. And Leah said to me one day, she said, if you don't start asking and expecting to be paid, you're making it harder for the rest of us creators who are expecting and wanting to get paid. And it was like that moment. It was just a light bulb moment for me where I was like, this is so much bigger than just me. Like, this is setting precedent as a group. You know, this is, it was just bigger than me. And then then it made sense. And so then I was like, tell me how. Give me all the resources. Yes, teach me. And they did. That was the beauty of it, is like, that's how it started for me. And you just have to be willing to put yourself out there. You know, it's not easy, but that was the start for me. So,
that makes my heart super happy. So thank you for sharing that story. To get into some tactical stuff for the listeners. First of all, I'm most familiar with your work on Instagram, but are you across platforms as well?
I'm really horrible about cross-posting, if I'm being honest. And I use it as a bit of a value add for my brands that I will cross-post at this point without charging additionally. That's not going to be a forever thing. But Right now I'm using that just as, it's just a presence, for me. So my main focus right now is Instagram.
So you also have Facebook and TikTok. Are there other ones out there? I don't even
YouTube.
know. I'm assuming.
Yeah, I've got
not.
the YouTube channel.
Of
Yeah.
course,
And then I've
obviously.
got a website, but yeah. Yeah. I don't do Threads and I don't do Twitter. Who's got the time? But yeah.
Oh my gosh. You have to have like a whole team in place if you're going to be that intense. Okay. So something you do extremely well, in my opinion, is branding, because everyone knows you because of your multicolor rainbow glasses. And then you also use that multicolor theme on your cover photos. And, it's like a light, happy feeling, right? And you also keep your content light and friendly and funny. So first of all, kudos to you. Second of all, how long did it take you to hone in on your style?
When I started my Instagram account, this was before travel, my niche was organization. So my first 1,000 followers came from organizational, people that wanted to see me organize stuff. And then I kind of went more into decluttering. And when I started RV content, my purpose actually, it was to give back, because when Chris and I decided to travel, the first thing that we did was go and follow all the people, go watch all the people, see what they're doing. Everybody was sharing the good, bad, and the ugly. It was a way for us to get mostly like mentally prepared for what we were about to embark upon, right? So what I thought I was going to be doing was like giving back to the people, to the community in a way that the same way that everybody helped me. I wanted to be sharing those things. That just didn't sound super fun. It sounded like everybody else's tips, and I don't know, it just didn't hit. And so I had this still have it, this 3-page long, content pillar document. I thought I was going to do it. I thought if I get organized and I just decide, then I'm just going to do it. And that thing still sits there on my computer because I didn't want to. It wasn't fun. And then I started just kind of doing what felt good to me. Like, I'm sarcastic. I have a potty mouth. There's reality, to this life. There's the relationship between my husband and I. And a lot of what you see on there, that's literally what our relationship is like. Like, I call certain shots and he makes my dreams come true. Like that, those things that I talk about, for the most part, that is really us. And so when I don't know when it happened exactly, but I do know that when I allowed myself to just be me and my personality came through, the content started flowing a lot easier. Now, that's not to say that I don't still have ebbs and flows. Like, I was posting 2 times a day for a really long time and experienced a lot of growth. That's not sustainable for most of us. It's not sustainable for me. So, like I said, I'm kind of all over the place depending on the day and the week and what else is going on in my life. But as far as the branding goes, to get back to your question, I don't think it was really super intentional. Like, I've had these glasses for years, like it was never, I don't know when it happened, but I knew, I guess that there was something, it was the one way people would recognize me, over and over and over. So I try hard not to make content without my glasses, or show up to a fire, with a group of RV people. Don't show up without my glasses because people won't recognize me. Like, sometimes I'll go to a bonfire and I put on my contacts and a hat. Nobody knows who the hell I am. So,
oh my gosh.
it's a way actually of just like, of connecting, because if I want those connections as bad as the next person. So it's not about my brand when I show up to the fire. It's about, if somebody recognizes me, it will spark a conversation. And so, it just kind of evolved that way.
Good for you. You're a natural at branding. Okay. But like, on that note, it is something for people that are especially like getting started or wanting to take your account to the next level. Mm-hmm. The cohesion, I would say, of branding is really important because, like you said, you want people to be able to recognize, oh, rainbow glasses, that's you. I know she's like funny and sassy and an RVer, right? Like, bam, that is good branding. And so how can you, our dear friends and listeners, like, have that same, what is it about you that's like, just immediate, what can you be recognized by? So,
yeah.
Putting
Yeah.
that out there.
Yeah. What do you do? What do you do every day, for example? Like, I mean, and it's not like my glasses are the only thing about me. You know, like everybody knows I love coffee everywhere I go. I
Yep.
love plants. You know, everybody has those few things that they really, really love. And if you can use
Yep.
those even as just a starting point, and don't get me wrong, I still want to incorporate some of those other tips and tricks because I do think they're important and they're super helpful. But I only recently, and hopefully this will be my kind of like a little kick in the pants. I only recently have come up with an idea of how to do that, but also be myself, you know, like also
Yeah.
have a bit of an attitude about it. So we'll
Yeah.
see. We'll see what happens.
Ooh, I'm excited. Okay, you said it on RV Queens podcast, and now you have to do it. Speaking of your content, I freaking love the funny videos you make. I think we all do. And you are really good at trending audio. And I'm honestly asking these questions because I feel like I'm really bad about this. Your videos are really sassy and unique to you, but you also pair them really well with what's trending. And, like, quick sidebar, I am just talking about Instagram here because that's kind of my main focus, and it sounds like your main focus too. So, like, tell us, how in the world, what is your process? How do you find trending audio? How do you make it specific to you? What's going on behind the scenes?
Social media for me, Instagram in particular, it's no longer that social, and like I don't, it's a job for me. Okay. I just want to put that out there right now. When I pick up my phone anymore, it is with a very specific intention if I'm going to be on social media. Okay. So one of the things that I do, or a couple of the things that I do, is I spend time every couple of days, and as I'm scrolling, I am looking for those trending audios. You know, I'm looking for that little arrow next to the audio down in the bottom right left-hand corner. And then when I find one that I like, and it really, I do have to like it, you know, it has to resonate with me at least a little bit. And then I'll go to that sound and I'll see, does it have at least a million? Does the original have at least 1 million views? And then does that current sound have under 1,000? That's my strategy. So the tricky part about that is that, so then I'll save them into a trending audio folder, but you know, that stuff happens really fast. So you really do have to be doing it every 2 or 3 days, and you can't usually wait that long. If you don't use it, you lose it, you know, because it's not going to work. But then second to that is as I'm scrolling, I like to go watch other people who aren't travelers. And I like to take inspiration from what other people are doing. So a lot of what you'll see, somebody else might have said somewhere else in related to a completely different niche. You know, maybe it was, I don't know, shopping or whatever, you know, just as an example. But I can take that inspiration and I can flip it to be travel oriented, and, you know, so that it makes sense for me and my account and my audience. So then I'd have 2 folders and then I just marry them together. You know, of course, if it's like a voiceover or something, which I do love to do the voiceovers, then no trending audio is needed unless that happens to be a trending audio on its own. But those are the things that I do. Like when I'm on social media, I'm purposely engaging to grow my account or to support my fellow creators' accounts. And I'm purposely looking for things that I can use because I know that those things are going to help me grow, help brands see me, help me get paid. Be it.
When you say you're scrolling your feed, do you mean like the Reels feed? Or do you mean like you open Instagram and that your default feed?
Not usually my default feed, because my default feed is really going to be my people, my travelers, you know, my accounts that I like to engage with, the ones that I like to support, the ones that are often supporting me. So if I want to get inspiration from an outside source, something so that my content is unique to me, I am on the Reels tab because that's where I'm seeing other people that are outside of my niche.
And then whenever you say you create boards, are you talking about within Instagram when you save and you can organize it into little folders?
Yes, neat little folders. Okay. I love a good organized folder. Yes. Yes,
I bet
that's
you do.
exactly
You're
what
a
I do.
BA.
I have a folder for every single state. Even, you know, when I see people sharing content, I share it or I save it to the, you know, the right folder for that particular state. So I know when we go through there, these are the, you know, places I'd like to explore too. And then, yeah, for trending audio and inspiration and voiceovers and that kind of thing.
Okay. Speaking of your organization, how far out do you plan your content? Like, what's your strategy and organization there? Because I know you have like brand commitments and then also, like growth posts / trending audio, all of that. What does that look like for you behind the scenes?
So it's actually been a lot more skewed since I've been more successful with the brand deals, because I do try to prioritize those. I try hard not to post a brand deal more than once a week, but sometimes it's twice, which I'm going to say is a good thing, right? That's a good problem to have. But ideally, I'd like to have a lot of content going out every single day, or at least one thing a day in between all of that, right? Like fun things, engaging things, relatable things. I don't want my page to ever turn into something that's just sales, even though a lot of what I represent is relatable to the community, relatable to my audience. I think it's important to have a good mix there. But gosh, the strategy, like I said, I'm prioritizing making sure my brand stuff gets out according to plan and according to what we agreed on. My personal content is difficult because it depends a lot on my mood lately. And like, you have to be in the right kind of mood if you're going to get on there and try to be funny or sarcastic or, you know what I mean? Like, I think you just have to be in that right headspace. But what I will do is batch. I love to batch content, especially if I've done my hair. So, you can't let a moment like that go by. Kathy doesn't curl her hair more than like once a month. Okay. So, but yeah, so that's another strategy that I have is I'm not going to just film one reel and it's going to be done. I'm going to do 5 to 7 probably is what I'm going to do. And I'm not going to do the captions and maybe even all of the on-screen text or anything like that, but I'm going to film it so that it's at least in my drafts, so that on these days where I don't feel like it or I don't have time, I can pull from a bank of content that, works.
Are you organized to the point where you're like, on Mondays, I post about RV life. On Tuesday, I post about... No. Okay.
I wish. I wish.
Shaking your head.
No, I wish. I mean, you would think with my personality that I would be, but I think it's just reality. It's part of that, like that whole, what you were talking about in the beginning is you think it's just going to be like this, this is you see everybody else doing it. So surely it's just going to be this easy. And it's not. Like, I'm literally working 3 jobs this summer and I'm homeschooling 2 kids and making travel plans for the winter. And that's just not reality for me. But I see other people doing it and I think it's a great idea. And it was part of my original strategy. But I just learned that I have to go with what feels good to me. Otherwise, I'm just not going to do it. So
you've said that a couple times now. You found what felt good for you and you kept following it. I think that's hugely important in life and business. For the record, huge fan of that concept. Okay, I have a few more questions for you, but I'm going to save them for the Q&A at the end with the RV Queens. This has been so helpful and inspiring already, Kathy. You are such a gem. So first of all, go ahead and share with everyone where they can connect with you online, and then I will ask you my final questions.
Okay, perfect. So Instagram, Chaos on the Road. You will find me because my photo has just me and it's got my rainbow glasses. Also Facebook, it's Chaos on the Road. YouTube, Chaos on the Road. TikTok is chaos.on.the.road. So I had to split it up a little bit, but essentially you can find me there. And then I've got a website. It's chaosontheroad.us. So, which I kind of love, actually. I kind of love the .us. It's fitting. Yeah.
Chaos on the road all around the U.S. That's what it makes me think of.
Exactly.
All right. So for my closing question, I'm actually mixing it up a little bit. And I want to end with what I'm calling a 1-in-1 round, where we each share one book and one tool that we are into these days. Okay. So when I say book, it doesn't have to be a business book. It doesn't have to be anything. Like serious. It could be fun. It could be funny, whatever. Something that you're reading right now.
Oh, actually, this is so funny because this is totally not typically my jam, but I'm usually like a sci-fi thriller or not sci-fi, but more like a psychological thriller type of girl. But recently, a friend told me about a book surrounding the time of the Holocaust, and it actually was a trilogy. And you can't get me started on a trilogy and not have me finish the trilogy. So I'm on book number 2. The first book was Tattooist of Auschwitz, and so now I'm on book number 2. And I just I'm in love. Like the first book, I cried my eyes out, and I'm probably going to do the same for the second 2 books. I don't know. I don't know what this vibe is that I'm in, but I'm here for it. It's super important. It's super important. I know this is good for me and I'm learning things, but it's not typically what you'll find on my Goodreads, just so you know.
Well, quick sidebar. If anyone else likes that historical genre, have you read The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna?
Kristen Hanna is my idol. And
my gosh.
Yeah. Yes, I have. Yeah. It's just, yeah, you can.
You know what I mean?
You can.
It's
yes.
like good and intense and just amazing. If someone is looking for a good fiction book, go find that one. I'm actually reading this really random book that I found in like a RV park laundry room, or whatever. But it is so funny. Do you know who Larry David is?
No.
Well, he's on
Maybe
he
context.
was like the writer behind Seinfeld. And then he also had Curb Your Enthusiasm. He's like the main guy in that. Whatever.
Okay.
Really funny. His daughter is like a 20-something. Her name is Kathy David. Kathy with Z's. And she wrote, it's like a book of her essays, and it is freaking hilarious. And it's really fascinating to get inside the mind of a 20-something-year-old these days. It's not my usual read. It's so random, but it's cracking me up. It's called No One Asks for This. In case someone's looking for something random. There you go.
Noted. I mean, sometimes we all need to just laugh for a while, right? And get out of our serious mode. So,
and my husband's in bed. My husband's like reading this very serious, I don't even remember what it is. Probably like a historical fiction or something. We both read in bed before we go to sleep. Anyways,
same.
And I'm over here like, he's like, you're totally harsh on my vibe. I'm like, this girl's so funny.
Read the room, Kate. Read the room.
I know. I'm sorry. Now, I'm curious to hear about, I'm calling it a tool, something that's changing your life right now. It doesn't have to be an RV tool. It could be a kitchen gadget or a type of shoes or like a tech tool. I don't know. Whatever. Something that's just like you're obsessed with right now.
As of yesterday, it was my new tankless water heater. Because I get to take baths now in my RV. No, we had like this old school style, water heater. It was like 12 gallons. We have this bathtub in our RV. We've always had one, and I could never use it because there was never enough hot water. So we got a tankless water heater, and now I get to take baths. Before yesterday, when that happened, it honestly was another appliance. You can tell my age, I think, by the things that make me really excited, but that's okay. Because my convection microwave, I can cook my sourdough in it and it doesn't heat up my house. And I was so intimidated by that appliance. I made my husband learn how to use it first. And I said, I'm not reading instructions. I just need you to tell me how to use it, show me exactly what buttons, and then I'll be fine. That thing is so easy. I can do anything in that. And so if it makes my life easier, I'm here for it.
Hashtag mom life. Oh, you just made something easy for me? Thank you.
Take my money.
I know, please. Speaking of like asking brands to take your money, Xero shoes, Xero, they're like barefoot shoes.
Yep, seen them.
I have these sandals and I'm just obsessed with them. They are so lightweight. They're so comfortable. It's like my feet never hurt at the end of the day. I don't know what kind of magic sauce is in there. I'm not even like an affiliate. I'm not trying to sell them. I'm just giving an honest review. I just love them.
So it's Xero. I feel like I've heard of them.
Yes.
Xero.
Yes.
Okay, that's why.
They're not honestly, they're not the cheapest shoes on the block. So, but
if your feet don't hurt when you're at the end of the day.
No. Yes.
Telling you, take my money.
So worth it.
If it makes me not hurt and makes my life easier.
Kathy, thank you so much for inspiring us all, for being on the show, for teaching us. I've really enjoyed this conversation and also just getting to know you better.
Same. Thank you so much for having me. I hope everything that I said, or at least some of what I said, was helpful to somebody out there. And I think it's really important to me to, even if I'm not doing it in the way that I thought I was going to do it, to pay it forward in the community. Like, in whatever way I can help, I love to be available for people to help the same way people helped me. So
that is awesome. Thank you. Awesome.
Of course.
Well, thank you so much for being on the show. Yep. Hopefully I will see you on the road.
You will.
Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode and for being part of the RV Queens community. Remember to hit subscribe on whatever platform you're listening on. And guess what? You can have conversations like I had on this episode with your fellow RV women who are living intentionally and making money on the road. Head to rvqueenspodcast.com/community to join RV Queen Circles today. It's a totally unique online space with a shared prosperity model that's all about community over competition. I'd love to have you be a part. All right, guys, I'll see you next week, or hopefully I will see you on the road. Oh my gosh.